Hi everyone, welcome back to Waterhouse Forde. Today I want to carry on with the Mudguard. It seems that this Mudguard is taking up a lot of videos, but it has been quite a learning experience, but also a reasonably slow experience, as I've had to make tools and make jigs and etc and get equipment along the way. So yeah, yet another Mudguard video, I'm afraid. In this one I will bring you over and I'll just quickly run through some of the issues that we identified in the last couple of videos, and I'll just kind of refresh our memory on that. But essentially what I want to try to do is to use the new slapper hammer that I've made and try to remove as many of the buckles as I can from the mudguard in and around the joint that I've made. Again, I'm hoping that I can get it reasonably flat. The actual frame of the mudguard will probably help to pull it straight. But I don't think that that's going to take the buckles out. So I do want to try and get the buckles out if I can, but also just to flatten that weld a little bit more. I have obviously ground it reasonably flat, but I think that with a bit of hammering, hopefully that will flatten out and smooth out and basically settle a lot easier, a lot more. So that's really what this video is about. I don't know how interesting it's going to be. It might be reasonably boring. It's certainly going to be quite loud. I'm going to have ear defenders on. I will tone down the volume on the video when I'm editing, so hopefully it won't be too unbearable for you. But I don't intend to film the whole thing. Probably be a reasonable amount of time lapse, etc. in the video. But yeah, let's see what we can do. So as you can see, I've got it set up here on basically a chunk of old gate post, which I've smoothed the top of, sanded the top so that it doesn't have any horrible contours in it, which obviously then might impress themselves on the metal. I'm using that instead of a dolly because I'm going to bring you down. Hopefully you can, if I bring you down to the level of the mudguard, hopefully you can begin to see the buckling that I'm talking about. Don't know if it's coming out on the video, but if you look down the joint here, you'll see, hopefully you'll see a fair amount of buckling. But most importantly, we've also got this sort of, it's rising up and then heading down. So the joint, the weld, is now essentially an apex, and that really needs to be laying flat. So it's quite a broad area, large area that needs to be flattened, and I don't think a dolly is going to be big enough to to basically cope with that area. So I have prepared this cut off from a fence post. It's 200 by 200 millimeters square, so a reasonable area for us to hammer against, and we're going to be using our slapper hammer, which hopefully you saw in our last video, me making from an old metal file. But that's basically where we are. Try and come in a little bit closer here. So here you can see we've got some raised metal. The welds also, I've flattened them, as in I've ground them down, but they still need a little bit of tension removing from them, shall we call it. And on this side you can see similar kind of setup, a little bit of raised metal over here, actually only just enough for me to feel, but yeah, and then here, this is the kind of buckling that I'm trying to deal with. So it sort of dips down here, dips down there, rises, and then sort of flattens out all along here, and then it dips down again over here, quite low. It sort of rises quite sharply over here, settles back down, and then rises again as we move across. So basically we've got sort of one high spot, another high spot, sorry, here, and then quite a long high spot here, and then a very low spot down here. So yeah, my objective is to try to flatten that out as much as possible. This kind of angle that I'm talking about here, this apex, I'm less worried about that. I'm going to try to work it, but I am less worried about that, because when we bolt the frame in, which runs basically up here and then up here, well, inevitably that, because it's an angled frame, it's very strong, and that will basically pull the skin and cause the skin to form to it, or to conform to its shape, which is basically straight. So yeah, I'm hoping that that's not going to be too much of an issue. But so my intention here, I'm going to start, I think, on this side. I'm going to turn the block so that it's kind of running this way into this corner here. I'm going to start this side. I'm going to be working my way across and hopefully working those kinks out. I did consider working from the middle out, a little bit left, a little bit right, a little bit left, a little bit right, and I might still do that, but I wanted to start on this end because I feel that this end is better than this end, if that makes sense, and I kind of feel I want to try and get that more right, more perfect, and then move on to the bit that is, shall we say, worse. That's my plan. Let's see how we get on. I might change it as we go, and as I begin to see how this is reacting to this treatment. So as I mentioned there, I made this slab in the previous video. That was mostly just just a time lapse, but this was an old metal file which I repurposed. I bought it at a second-hand shop. It was pretty well worn out anyway. So yeah, this is essentially a new use for it. But let me get this post set up first. It's gone a bit over here. It has gone flattened down, but it doesn't seem to want to go anymore. I want to try to flatten this now to see if that'll help ease that a little bit. So I'm just going to move this over. Okay, that's come up or flattened down quite a lot over here. It's still not quite right. That's still up over there. But basically it's getting better. I'm going to try and move over this way a little bit and then we'll come back. And I think I will need to get the dolly out anyway to do the final sort of finish, but it feels like I'm getting the main problem dealt with first, if I've got the biggest problem, and then we can fine tune it. Okay, well look, that's already looking, to me that's already looking a lot better. I stand it up. What it's done is it's dealt with that apex that I was talking about quite well. That has almost, well, it's about half as better, or about half of it has been taken out, if that makes sense. But what that's not dealing with is these kind of ripples or waves that I was talking about. So I'm going to just support this now, and I'm going to get the dolly, and we're going to have a go with the dolly again and see whether we can get any better results. And let's come back this way. Okay, it's really getting quite a lot better actually. This is all flattened out all along here. Got a little bit of a half spot over here and there. The rest of this is flat until we get to the end, which I know I still need to deal with. There's a lot more welding needs to happen there. But let me see if I can deal with this half spot here. That's getting better. I think that might be about it. Great. So these two ends are still a problem, and I still need to. So I'll sort those out when I've curled this metal over. I think. Because I think by curling it, that's actually going to pull this half spot down here and this half spot down here. That's at least my theory anyway. But this is actually feeling a lot better now. It's almost entirely smooth across here. And what is left will be dealt with the body filler that's going to have to go in, inevitably have to go in here anyway. So I'm actually quite happy with that. There's still quite a big buckle over here as a low point. I mean, it's literally that big. Not really sure if I can bring that out. I might have a go. There's a little bit of a half spot here. Now, this is all area that I've not worked on, right? So these were already in the Mudguard when we started, and perhaps I should have dealt with them before actually trying to put the new seam in. But I think some of you noticed, or if you watch one of the earlier videos, you'll see that I did have a go, but it really wasn't working. I didn't have the slapper hammer, and essentially I was just making it worse. So I'm wondering now whether I can turn this over and try and get rid of that one, and try and get rid of that one, and then see if this one will flatten out as well. But these two are the worst, so I might try that now. it in there. There we go. I don't know if you saw that, but that actually popped, it literally popped out. So just tapping it gently basically softens the metal, and that popped out. Now it can probably just as easily pop back again, so we do need to be careful with that. But again, once the frame comes in here, I think that that's going to pull that nice and tight. Let's try this one again with the smaller hammer. Again, that has significantly improved, so quite happy with that. Okay, so I think that is probably as far as I'm going to go with that. I think the next job now is to start curling these edges over. Now, before I do that, I need to measure how much material I actually need, because I don't need all of this, so I will have to cut some of this off to come around this bar and basically end flush against this edge here. So I need to try and work out a good method for calculate, or not estimating essentially what that's going to need to be. And so I need to go away and work that out, and then I will come back. Okay, I think rather than try and guesstimate what this length should be, what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to make a start, as in I'm going to start curling it, and then essentially once it's sort of lying like that, I'll have a better idea of how long it needs to be, and I can basically just cut off the edge prior to finalizing the curl. What I've done, you can see I've just clamped it in right at the back here, so that post or this bar is right up in the corner here. I feel like I need to kind of clamp this down as well, so I'm going to just find my clamp and do that, and then essentially I'm just going to use pliers to start curling this over, just to make a start, and then I'll probably switch to a hammer. But why can I never find a clamp when I need one? I don't know if any of you have this problem, but it seems to me that clamps are one of those things that they're either in the way or you can't find them, one of the two. Or they seem to be able to, because they're such an odd shape, they seem to be able to get in the way very easily. But when you need one, you've probably put them away somewhere and can't find them. Or at least that's my experience anyway. Right, so I've got that clamped right down, and essentially what I'm going to do now is start curling this over, holding it tight to that bar. thought that might happen. Okay, let's try these smaller ones. I'm hoping they've got a little bit more bite to them. Alright, a little bit better, but not great. Let's tighten them a bit more. We're just about there now, and then we can cut this edge off and finish it up. Right, I am going to cut about, what's that, quarter-ish of an inch off there. Maybe do it in millimeters, probably about 6 millimeters off there. And I think that that's going to allow it to curl nicely down into that joint. So let me get that marked up and get it cut, and I'll come back. I cut it a bit short here, but not the end of the world. Better short than long, I suppose, because long would cause it to stand proud. There we go. That is not half bad. Well, I'm actually pretty happy with that. I think that's, I mean, it needs a little bit of smoothing out on the other side. I can feel where the pliers have made a bit of a mark, but nothing that a grinder won't deal with. Great, so let's try to do this side now. This side's going to be a little bit more difficult because for some reason the bar doesn't seem to extend quite as far. So as I was saying, this side, the bar doesn't seem to extend quite as far. So that's going to be interesting. I wish I'd known that before. I might have welded a slightly longer piece in. Well, let's just see how we go. Can't be helped really. Okay, so we'll do the same again basically. This is going to be a problem here now. I'm wondering if I should put a tack weld in there just to hold that in place. Then I don't need these. I think I might do that actually. Missed. What am I doing? It's not going to be perfect, but at least that'll give me a little bit more room to get the curl in. Okay, we'll trim a little bit off there again, and hopefully that will lay down nicely for us. Great. Again, very happy with that. I will just tidy it up with a hammer, but that has turned out just as good as the other side. Very happy with that. But eager to see what the other side looks like as well. So let's turn it over, see what we got. But like I said, there's a little bit of marking that needs to be tidied up with a sander, but look at that, that's pulled right in perfectly. So I can literally now just fill that with weld. This side is also pulled in beautifully. There's a little bit more work to do on this side. There's a lot of holes there. This metal is very, very rotten up here. A little bit of a sharp edge there. We can just tidy that up when we're sanding this. But actually, that has finished up not half bad as a mudguard. We've got all the major dents out here. These big ones came out here nicely. This one is still there, but it's nowhere near as pronounced as it was, and this side has come up nicely as well. So I'm actually very, very happy with that. I think that this mudguard is pretty much done. A little bit of finishing up to do here on the welding. Let me get this properly in frame. But yeah, a little bit of welding to do over here, welding, grinding, etc., getting that sorted. Very, very small amount on this side. I mean, almost none by comparison. But I can get that done now, get this all tidied up, and then we're ready for prepping and body filler for the whole thing, because we're going to get this some of this orange peel effect out as well, the corrosion, the pitting. But as we're doing that, we can then fill all this joint, and hopefully that will give us a reasonably good final finish. But there you go. Well, again, I didn't think I could make so many videos about one mudguard, but obviously I'm learning as I go. There has been quite a lot to it, and incredible lessons, I think, for me, learning how to do this. As I said at the beginning of the series, I've never done this before. My body work experience has been limited to basically just a little bit of body filler and sanding and painting, basically. This kind of work, this sort of sheet metal type work, not really done it, but was very inspired again by some of the other YouTubers. I've mentioned a few of them. Carl over at Make It Custom, and some of his colleagues. Some of the stuff that they can do is just incredible, and of course I'm a million miles away from that. But when I considered, actually, I think this is a reasonably simple job to do. It's a simple cut and weld. It's not like I'm trying to fit a piece in, like fill a hole or anything like that. So I thought that this would be a little bit easier. This old metal didn't make it easy. That actually was in a lot worse state than I thought, and there were many, especially once I'd cut the old piece out, the buckles that formed were quite daunting, to be honest. But anyway, carried on, got there, and that slapper hammer, I mean, wow, that's a fantastic tool. That's definitely, I'm really glad I made that. I think that's going to be something that I can use extensively, especially if I'm going to do this kind of work. And I don't think I'm going to necessarily, but great tool anyway. And if you want to do this kind of work, definitely a tool that I would recommend having. I think the advantage of it is that you basically just use its weight. You're not hammering. You're basically just letting it fall mostly, and just directing where it falls. And because it's such a large flat area, it actually works pretty effectively. I'm quite impressed actually with what a good job it's done here. This is not perfect, right? It's not showroom quality or anything like that, and I'm sure many of you out there might look at this and think, yeah, I could do better than that. Well, yeah, you probably could. But for what it is, and from where it's come from, I'm actually really, really happy with it. And I think that this is good enough for a 1953 vintage tractor that is never really going to be on show necessarily, but it might be on show, but not not being judged as such. That's not really what I'm into. So anyway, look. I hope you enjoyed that. I certainly did. I'm really pleased with the result. I'm glad that I've done this. As I say, it's not really my bag. I'm very much more into the mechanical side, the engines, that kind of thing. And I will obviously persevere with that. But at least now I know I can do this if I ever need to. And possibly a few other more challenging things as we go. That's how you learn, right? Keep pushing yourself and trying to do a little bit more. But anyway, enough waffling from me. Hope you all have a great week. Hope that you got something out of this. If nothing else, just a bit of comical value, laughing at my ineptitude. But nevertheless, that's what this is all about. Have a great week, everybody, and hope to see you on the next one. Cheers for now.